Good af- Good afternoon or good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to our meeting of our 2019 Comprehensive Plan and Future Land Use Amendments. We have a procedure that we try to follow each time that we meet once a year. And I'm going to go to Jason, who is head of the Planning Department. Jason's going to explain the procedure.
All right. Thank you, Chair. I'm Jason Gaines with the Planning Division of Cobb County Community Development, and as you stated tonight, we will be going over the 2019 Comprehensive Plan amendments. We have three different categories of Comprehensive Plan amendments. The first are zoning decisions. These items are the result of rezoning cases in which the approved zoning is not compatible with the future land use map designation. So you will have the opportunity to recommend to the Board of Commissioners on whether or not we should change the future land use to match up with the previously approved zoning. Second category is commission proposals. Those items are forwarded to staff by commissioners, or they direct staff to place these items on the agenda to either make changes to the future land use plan, to add language to the comprehensive plan documents, and other things that kind of clean up or basically help head off some certain trends, if you will, to kind of help things go the way that they see that they should go. So you've got zoning decisions, commissioner proposals, and then the third type, staff proposals. Those items are brought forward directly by staff, and typically they're just cleanup items, cleanups of the future land use map, editing lists and other portions of the comprehensive plan document that have changed over the course of the past year. So those are your three types or three categories. And the way that we'll hear these is I will read each item into the record, starting with the zoning decisions. If there are no desires from the Planning Commission members to discuss that item, and if there's no one here in the audience who wishes to comment on that particular item, we can move on through the list and go to the next item. And once an item is desired for discussion, or if there are folks here in the audience who want to comment on that particular item, you all would pull it. And we would continue to go through that list, and then we would have a motion to adopt the items that were not pulled. Then we'll go back and hear each item that was pulled individually. At that time, you can conduct a public hearing, offer those who wish to speak the opportunity to have a platform here at the podium, and then carry on with your discussion and make a decision from there as far as a vote. So we would do that for each of the three categories, starting with the zoning decisions, moving on to the commission proposals, and finishing up with the staff proposals.
Okay. So does everyone understand? He's going to read each case out, and then he will go back, and as he calls out the case, if you have opposition to it, you just raise your hand, and then you'll come up, and you have 3 minutes to speak if you're opposed to it. So, Jason, if you'll get us started.
Yes, ma'am. Starting with the zoning decisions, our first item is ZD1. It was based on zoning case Z60 of 2017 in October of 2017. The proposed future land use map change is from industrial compatible to industrial. This is located in District 3 on the northeast side of Dixie Drive and the southwest side of Homer Corn Road.
Anyone opposed to that? No. Moving on.
Okay. ZD2 is based on case Z53 heard in October 2017. The proposed change is from public and institutional to community activity center. It's located in District 3 on the east side of Sandy Plains Road, south of Shaliford Road, and at the northern terminus of Hunter's Lodge Road.
Okay. Do we have any in the audience opposed? None. Any on the board?
Okay. ZD3 is based on case Z67 in November of 2017. Proposed changes from Neighborhood Activity Center to Community Activity Center. This is located in District 3 on the south side of Shiloh Road, east of Fry Road.
Jason, I'm gonna pull that one. Is any opposition to that one?
All right, moving along, ZD4 is based on case Z34 in November of 2017. Proposed changes from low-density residential to medium-density residential located in District 4 at the northern terminus of Burris Lane, at the northwestern terminus of Milton Place, the northern terminus of Lakeview Drive, the eastern end of Mark Lee Drive, and northeast of Veterans Memorial Highway.
Is any opposition to this one? Any on the board? Seeing none.
Okay. ZD5 is based on case Z76 in December of 2017. Proposed changes from Neighborhood Activity Center to Community Activity Center, located in District 4 at the southwest corner of Austell Road and Evergreen Drive.
Any opposition from the audience? Any on the board?
I'll pull that one.
Okay. So ZD5 will be pulled.
Okay. ZD6 is based on case Z79 in December of 2017. Proposed changes from Neighborhood Activity Center to low-density residential. This is in District 3, located on the southeast side of Old Mountain Park Road, east of Alabama Road.
Any opposition to this one? Hearing and seeing none. Next one.
Okay, ZD7 is based on case Z44 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from low-density residential and medium-density residential to medium-density residential in its entirety. We're located in District 4, the southwest intersection of Floyd Road and Glore Road, and at the northern terminus of Green Valley Road.
Any opposition from the audience? Any from the board?
ZD8 is based on case Z64 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from medium-density residential and community activity center to community activity center in its entirety. This is located in District 2 on the east side of Oakdale Road, the north side of West Village Crossing, the west side of Pine Street, the southwesterly side of Atlanta Road, and on the north and south sides of West Village Way.
Any opposition from the audience? We have one that'll come off, so we'll hear that. ZD8 will be heard.
Okay. ZD9 is based on case Z80 in December of 2017. The proposed changes from Neighborhood Activity Center to medium-density residential. Sites located in District 4 on the east side of Gordon Road, north of Old Alabama Road.
Any opposition from the audience? From the board?
I'll pull that one.
So ZD9 will be heard.
ZD10 is based on case Z70 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from high-density residential to medium-density residential. The site is located in District 4 on the southwest corner of Smyrna Powder Springs Road and Vineyard Way.
Any opposition from the audience? From the board?
I'll pull that one.
ZD10 will be heard.
ZD11 is based on case Z73 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from Community Activity Center to medium-density residential. The site is located in District 3 on the southwest side of Wooten Lake Road and on the east side of Wade Green Road.
Any opposition from the audience? All right, we have opposition, and we have opposition from, that will be pulled. So ZD11 will be heard.
ZD12 is based on case Z12 in February of 2018. Proposed changes from high-density residential, community activity center, and public institutional to regional activity center with a high-density residential subcategory. The site is located in District 2 on the northwest side of Terrell Mill Road and on the west side of Powers Ferry Road.
Any opposition from the audience? That'll be pulled. That will be ZD 12 will be heard.
ZD 13 is based on case Z83 in February 2018. The proposed changes from low-density residential to medium-density residential. The site's located in District 3 on the southwest side of Hawkins Store Road, west of Canton Road.
Any opposition from the audience? And I'm gonna pull that one, Jason. ZD 13 will be heard.
Z14 is based on case Z2 in February of 2018. Proposed changes from Neighborhood Activity Center to Industrial Compatible. Sites located in District 4 on the northeast corner of Oak Ridge Road and Oak Ridge Parkway.
Any opposition from the audience? Any from the board?
ZD 15 is based on case Z9 in March of 2018. The proposed changes from Neighborhood Activity Center to Community Activity Center. Sites located in District 3 on the northwest side of Sandy Plains Road, north of Ebenezer Road.
Any opposition from the audience? And Jason, I'm gonna hear that one.
Okay, I'm gonna pull ZD 15. Moving on to ZD 16. It's based on case Z12 in April of 2018. Proposed changes from low-density residential to medium-density residential. The site is located in District 3 on the northwest side of Shallowford Road, north of Shallow Ridge Road.
Any opposition from the audience? And Jason, I'm gonna pull that one too. ZD 16.
ZD 17 is based on case Z5 in April 2018. The proposed changes from Community Activity Center to high-density residential. The site is located in District 2 on the southwest corner of Old Town Parkway and Old Town Lane.
Any opposition from the audience? Any from the board? You do? Okay, we do have someone.
Yes.
Uh-huh. We'll have a public hearing. We'll pull it, and then you can ask that question. We'll pull it. So ZD 17 will be heard.
ZD 18 is based on case Z23 in May of 2018. The proposed changes from high-density residential to medium-density residential. The site's located in District 3 on the west side of Carnes Drive and on the east side of Lakewood Road.
Any opposition from the audience? That one's fine, Jason.
ZD 19 is based on case Z24 in May of 2018. Proposed change is from the Regional Activity Center Retail Services subcategory to the RAC High Density Residential category. Subcategory, excuse me. So just a change in subcategory from retail services to high density residential, all within the Regional Activity Center. The site's located in District 2 on the northwest side of Acres Mill Road, on the north side of Galleria Lane, and on the south side of Galleria Parkway.
Any opposition from the audience? Any from this board? Okay. Moving on, Jason.
ZD 20 is based on case Z25 in May of 2018. Proposed change is from low density residential to medium density residential. The site's located in District 2 on the north side of Lee Road, east of Pine Ridge Road.
Any opposition from the audience? Hearing and seeing none. Any from the board? We're gonna pull that one. ZD 20.
Okay, ZD 21. It's based on case Z50 in August of 2018. The proposed change is from industrial compatible to industrial. The site is located in District 2 on the south side of South Cobb Industrial Boulevard, west of Martin Court.
Any opposition from the audience? Any from the board? Okay. It's fine. We're not pulling it.
All right, and ZD 22 is based on case Z8 in August of 2018. The proposed change is from a neighborhood activity center to medium density residential. The site's located in District 1 on the east side of John Ward Road, west of Powder Springs Road.
Is any opposition from the audience? Any from the board? It's fine. Okay, Jason, let me go back over the numbers of what we're gonna hear, see if we have the same thing. I've got ZD 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, and 20.
I have the same, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So then we will start with ZD
You want me to
3.
make a motion on the ones that we're not gonna hear?
Yeah, I think we can do
Okay.
that. That's a good.
Okay. I make a motion that we recommend approval for ZD1, ZD2, ZD4, ZD6, ZD7, ZD14, ZD18, ZD19, ZD21, and ZD22.
Do we have a second?
And second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the question. And that's approved 4-0. Now, Jason, we'll go back and start with ZD 3.
Yes, ma'am. All right. ZD3 is based on case Z67 in November of 2017. Proposed change is from neighborhood activity center to community activity center for retail use. Site is located in District 3 on the south side of Shiloh Road, east of Fry Road.
Okay. And I think I was the one that asked for this one to be pulled. I'm going to recommend, Jason, on this one that I recommend denial on this. I think it should stay in the neighborhood activity since it's adjacent to the residential. So I make the motion to deny ZD3. Do I have a second? I have a second by Andy. All those, call the question. That's approved for denial. ZD5, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. ZD5 is based on case Z76 in December of 2017. The proposed changes from neighborhood activity center to community activity center for an office use. The site's located in District 4 on the southwest corner of Austell Road at Evergreen Drive.
Okay.
That one's mine. That's a property that the zoning we put on, it's really almost a placeholder because it's a house that's been converted to office, and whenever the property redevelops, it would probably redevelop in the neighborhood activity center. For that reason, I'm gonna make a motion that we did recommend denial of ZD5.
I have a motion for denial. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Andy. Call the question. That's approved 4-0.
All right, our next item is ZD8. It's based on case Z64 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from medium density residential and community activity center to community activity center in its entirety for a mixed use development. The site is located in District 2 on the east side of Oakdale Road, the north side of West Village Crossing, the west side of Pine Street, and the southwest side of Atlanta Road, and the north and south sides of West Village Way.
Do we have anyone in the audience that wanted to speak on this one? Yes, okay. There it goes.
Good evening. I am Mary Rose Barnes. I'm speaking tonight for Cobb County Civic Coalition and Oakdale Community Association Board. Cobb County Civic Coalition and Oakdale Community Association both oppose the change of the land use designation from NDR to CAC for this section along Oakdale Road. The property should retain its designation of MDR. The MDR portion of Z64 of December 2017 application was approved specifically for 8 single-family homes and 9 condos, and therefore does not meet the state CAC purpose to provide for the immediate needs of several neighborhoods or communities Typical land uses for these areas include low to mid-rise office buildings and department stores. None of the Z64 property has been yet developed, even a year after the zoning was approved. A small section of the ZDT tract facing Oakdale Road, zoned for 8 single-family homes, is now for sale, separated from the rest of the PVC. Under these unusual circumstances, we do not know what the future might hold for this city property, and the neighborhood needs to be protected. This entire section of Oakdale Road, with the exception of the library, is rightfully designated MDR, including the single-family homes directly to the south of ZD8 tract. They are part of the adjacent West Village, a PVC, approved in 2004. An approval of this comprehensive plan amendment would be an aberration to establish planning policy that was designed to protect the residential character of this Oakdale Road corridor. The ZD tract has no direct vehicular access to the rest of the Z64, as the property is bounded by a creek bank. The only vehicular access is to Oakdale Road. Since Cobb County policy has negated any commercial access to properties along this residential section of Oakdale Road, a CAC designation is innately inappropriate. Although zoning staff has stated that CAC may be appropriate, CAC is not in line with the present designation of this Oakdale Road corridor. Cobb County Civic Coalition and Oakdale Community Association Board respectfully request that ZD8 be denied and the designation remain MDR. Thank you.
Thank you,
And Happy
Rose.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you. It's back to this board, and it'll be Andy.
I agree with much what Mary Rose has said. The PVC zoning is allowed in the medium-density residential. The residential portion along Oakdale Road is stipulated to always be that single-family residential use. So I think that the existing future land use is more appropriate than the proposed future land use.
All right, let's make a motion.
A motion? I'd like to move that we deny ZD8.
I have a second by Fred. All those in favor of denial? That's approved 4-0 for denial.
All right. ZD9 is based on case Z80 in December of 2017. Proposed change is from neighborhood activity center to medium density residential for the purpose of a single family home. The site's located in District 4 on the east side of Gordon Road, north of Old Alabama Road.
It's back to this board, Ms. Cobb.
Yes, this is we rezoned this for single-family residential to build one house, but the applicant found that there's no sewer nearby and the lot's too small to put septic on. So it's unlikely to be developed as residential, and therefore I'm going to recommend, make a motion that we recommend denial of this change.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
CD9.
Second, Andy, all those in favor of denial? No, it's approved 4-0.
Okay. ZD10 is based on case Z70 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from high-density residential to medium-density residential for the purpose of townhomes. The site's located in District 4 on the southwest corner of Smyrna Powder Springs Road and Vineyard Way.
Back to this board. Cobb.
Yes. On this particular one, it only ended up as medium density for the sole reason that the property's oddly shaped and has terrain issues. If there was to be a whole redevelopment in the area, this would likely be part of a high density. So for that reason, I'm going to recommend that we leave it in the high density. So I'll recommend denial of ZD10.
Motion, do we have a second? Second by Andy. Call the question. It's 4-0 for denial.
All right, moving along to ZD13.
I got 11.
11? Did I skip one?
CD 11.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong column here. ZD11 is based on cases Z73 in December of 2017. The proposed change is from community activity center to medium density residential. Proposed use is townhomes. The site is located in District 3 on the southwest side of Wooten Lake Road and on the east side of Wade Green Road.
We had someone from the audience that wanted to speak. Yeah, help her a little bit, Jason.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ann McQuaid. I'm a 35-year resident of a home that's roughly 2 miles from that intersection, exactly where that piece of property is being discussed. I'm extremely familiar with that area because I'm a full-time pedestrian. And that intersection is extremely, the traffic is already a huge problem in that vicinity. Anything we do to add to the traffic is only going to make it worse. If we're going to rezone it, I would very much prefer to see it rezoned to low density rather than medium density. I really think the traffic getting out onto Wooten Lake Road would be a huge problem. As it is, people back up trying to get from Wooten Lake onto Wade Green Road. I just don't see how a new development full of townhomes, those people getting out onto Wooten Lake and trying to turn onto Wade Green Road, that's just going to make an existing problem very much worse.
Okay.
And that's how I see it.
Thank you. You okay? This is in my district. The reason that we are, they're requesting the land use plan change, and let me give her a chance to sit down. I'll wait until you sit down and then I'll tell you. The reason we're putting it in the medium density was it was rezoned last year. It was rezoned for RA5 for residential. It had been zoned GC, general commercial, and it was established that you didn't need any more commercial out that way. And then they came in and they zoned it for the RA5, and this would meet, changing the land use plan would meet what it's currently zoned. It's not that they're going to add any rezoning, it's what it's already rezoned to. So based on that it's already rezoned, it's in the medium classification per their zoning, I would make the motion that we approve it.
Second.
I have a second by Andy. All those in favor? And that's approved 4-0. And Philip's going to help you with that and show you on the map. Okay. It is loud. I mean, that's what Philip's telling me. Yeah. All right, Jason.
All right, the next item is ZD12. It's based on case Z12, February of 2018. The proposed changes from high-density residential, community activity center, and public institutional to regional activity center with a high-density residential subcategory. For the purpose of a mixed-use development, the site is located in District 2 on the northwest side of Terrell Mill Road and on the west side of Powers Ferry Road.
Do we have someone in the audience that wishes to speak on ZD12?
Hello, I'm Kimberly Strickland. I have lived in my area that I love for 25 years. I've supported Cobb County in many things, bond referendums, buying bonds. My area has gone through a lot of change. And the Braves, we should have got to vote for that, but that's another topic. I would really like to know how you want to change my community again. And I did not mean to get emotional, but I don't feel that we as Cobb Countyans have the right to control our communities anymore. I filed my taxes with my accountant about 6 years ago, and she asked me, did I move into an impoverished area? I said, no, I'm at the same townhouse I've been for 20 years. Cobb County dropped my taxes to $300. Soon as the Brave Stadium was announced, it went up to $700, now it's like $1,200. I just feel like sometimes we need a little bit more visibility in politics. And I hear the word tonight, I think everything has been called community activity center. I'm great for community activity centers. I work so much, I could use some activity, but I don't want, right now I'm getting another storage unit in my backyard. I have 3 within a mile radius. I think I have more storage areas than Waffle Houses right now, which is kind of, when I first moved in my area, I had 4 within a mile. But I'm only emotional because I'm passionate about my area. I love Cobb County. And I would just like to make sure that we don't build more apartments in my area to please people going to the Brave Stadium. We're losing our neighborhood restaurant my girlfriends and I go to every week for the Kroger adventure that never happened on Terrell Mill. We have been in flux for several years. And I got this when I came back from my parents at Thanksgiving, and it's kind of unnerving that you all don't live in our area, but you want to make changes. If you want to put a geriatric or, youth center, I'm fine with that. But we need a little bit more, less vague wording, because I want to know what you would do with my neighborhood. We've got indigent apartments that need to be updated. If you want to tear those down, I'll help you. But we need to keep the low and medium dense and even medium high dense homes that we love. I have neighbors that had their homes torn down for a cut through from Terrell Mill to Windy Hill. These people can no longer put Christmas trees in the homes they love to make it more convenient. So I just plead to you that be compassionate and let us keep our homes.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Ms. Strickland.
I'm very Southern.
That's all right. That's all right. Bless your heart. We understand. It's back to this board, and it's going to be Andy, and you want to explain to her about the Regional Activity Center and what this is, or you want Jason to do it?
Well, I think we,
Turn it on.
Jason, I think he'd be able to better explain the nature of the future land use here, but I do feel compelled to say that the zoning to change this property to the use that's planned for it has already been done, and the work's under construction. There are going to be, I'm just in the vein of being transparent, there are going to be apartments on that project. There is going to be a Kroger, there's going to be restaurants. It's going to be a draw for the area from other areas, and as such, it is a regional activity center and plan to be that. So unfortunately, for the way you see that impacting your neighborhood, I can't. To some, I think it would be a positive. To some, I'm certain it would be a negative. In your case. So, Ms. Strickland, I apologize for that. But what we're looking at is matching the zoning, the future land use to what the zoning already is. If you could explain the regional activity center, the types of things that are approved in this development. Why?
Sure.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The thing about the future land use plan is we're not zoning any property. This has nothing to do with us zoning or changing the zoning classification of property. All it is the way we project it or to line up with what's already occurred on the property. And so maybe, Jason, you can explain it a little better.
Well, I think what you just said was a perfectly concise, layman's explanation for it. But turning back to what Andy was asking as far as the general purpose and intent of the Regional Activity Center, it's meant for our highest intensity development. So we're talking about commercial, retail developments. Of course, the two regional activity centers that we have in the county were centered around our two shopping malls. And there's also language in its definition that refers to access to two interstates or intersecting interstates, and both the Cumberland and the Town Center regional activity centers meet that criteria. So you've got your more intense retail uses, you've got your high intensity mixed uses where you have higher density housing combined with various commercial outlets, whether it's retail, whether it's office. You know, so that's pretty much the basic overview definition of the regional activity center.
Thank you. Do you have any discussion?
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any other comments from the board?
I do have one. I was just sitting here looking at this, and I think there's an error in the map, the way it's drawn on this. I think if you go right along the townhouses on the west, I think this rezoning followed that townhouse property line all the way down. So I think we may be missing a parcel out of this.
In what?
I'm trying to remember the rezoning
Here's
for
the-
sure,
here's
but I
the
think
plan.
that's where the self-storage is going.
Yeah, self-storage is
Yeah,
here.
yeah, I
Oh,
have
I
the
gotcha.
plan here.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so we are missing a piece of this.
That's where the retention,
Zoning.
where the existing detention pond is being
Right.
constructed.
So what
Yeah.
you need, Jason, is to correct it before you get to the Board of Commissioners.
We can do that. I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear on where there's an error in the map. Are we not going far enough north
We're
or?
not going far enough west and
West.
south. The southwest corner of it.
We thought that was what you were trying to say. Yeah.
Are you ready for us?
Jason, you fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, we'll go back to our council and see if is that appropriate to add that in by the Board of Commissioners.
It depends on what the, where the notice letters were sent, which I think we might have to check with staff.
I'm sure they hit all of that,
Yeah.
Salem Bridge.
Phyllis.
Now, it will be picked up in a commissioner proposal coming up in a minute.
Right, and that's what I was gonna touch on.
But we may have the wrong subcategory on it,
Possibly, but
which we could pick up next year and correct. if we
and to
had
what council just mentioned, and since this is a zoning decision, no letters would have been sent in regards to this. We sent out letters in regards to the commission proposals.
But Mr. Porter just said that this particular area is picked up in the commissioners, and the notice letters were
Right,
sent for that.
those letters
So-
would have gone out, yes.
So in that case, we could revise this map before it gets to the BOC,
Okay.
and we would still be good with our notice, because the notices went out for the commissioner proposal.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so to sum it up, we will, this board will vote on the revised site plan that you're gonna do to include the parcel that got called.
Anticipating that.
And, yeah,
Right.
being added.
so, it's back to this board, and if the board would give a motion.
Yeah. I'll make a motion. I'd like to move that we approve this ZD8 as presented, ZD12 as presented,
No, it's modified.
as modified.
We have a motion, we have a
I'll
second.
second.
Have a second. Call the question. That's approved 3-1 with the modification. Come on up, come on up. We don't normally do this, I mean. Is it pertaining to this case? Come on up to the mic where we can hear you.
You can do it.
You can do it, just go to the mic, it's fine. We're not gonna ask you any questions, just go over there. Well, we might ask you a question, but. Well, we might.
Well, good evening.
Okay, hey.
Thank you. Just because it's
Give
hard
us your
for
name,
me.
please.
Patricia. I live on Old Virginia Court next to
Oh, Virginia
that
Court.
thing. I just so confused. I got the letter and because my English, I translated in Spanish and it still didn't get it. What changing C, it was CP21 to from
That's the one you're talking
to
about.
regional to activity. So I don't know what's the difference between being regional and being activity.
Okay, regional's more impact, has a heavier concentration of classifications than a community activity center does. Regional is the highest classification we give, and we only have two in Cobb County, Cumberland and Town Center. So those, if you think in terms of big, that's a regional area. And the others, like Powers Ferry Road, and those are community activity centers that serve a multitude of communities, so.
Okay, well, that was my question.
Okay.
What was regional to activity?
This one, Z12, is from a community to regional because it meets the criteria of regional.
So there will nothing happen at the first community on Old Virginia? It will remain as it is?
We have another proposal that's coming up, and we'll address that in the next proposal that's coming up in just a few minutes.
So there will be some changes?
This is just bringing it into compliance with what's already existing on the ground.
This
Okay.
isn't the one you got the
The-
notice about.
No, this isn't the one that you're, this is a
'Cause-
different one. So you're good, you're good. You can come up again. You can come up
Thank
again.
you.
Okay. It is confusing. All right, so we're on to ZD 13, I think. If I've got it right.
Yes, ma'am. ZD 13 is based on case Z83 in February of 2018. Proposed changes from low-density residential to medium-density residential for the purpose of a single-family subdivision. Site is located in District 3 on the southwest side of Hawkins Store Road, west of Canton Road.
Okay, and this was my case, and I pulled it because it's just a little parcel and it's R12, and the density is 2.5, so I'm gonna recommend denial of this proposal. We have a second by call the question. And that's approved for denial of 4-0.
Our next item is ZD 15. It's based on case Z9 in March of 2018. The proposed change is from Neighborhood Activity Center to Community Activity Center for the purpose of an assisted living facility. The site is located in District 3 on the northwest side of Sandy Plains Road, north of Ebenezer Road.
Same thing, this is my case, and we approved a assisted living facility, but don't think it should go into a heavy commercial activity center just because of that. So I would recommend denial on ZD 15. I have a second by Galt. All those in favor? And that's approved 4-0 for denial. ZD 16.
Yeah, so next item is ZD 16, based on case Z12 in April of 2018. Proposed changes from low-density residential to medium-density residential for the purpose of a residential subdivision. The site is located in District 3 on the northwest side of Shallowford Road, north of Shallow Ridge Road.
Okay, and this was, I had pulled this one too, the same thing, it was R12 and it has a low density, so I'd make a motion that we reject this. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Andy, all those in favor? And that's approved for rejection 4-0.
Okay, our next item is ZD 17. It's based on case Z5 in April of 2018. The proposed change is from Community Activity Center to high-density residential for the purpose of townhomes. The site is located in District 2 on the southwest corner of Old Town Parkway and Old Town Lane.
Okay, do we have anyone from the audience?
There was somebody.
Do we have someone from the audience? Could you come up, please, and give us your name? We can't really hear you back there.
I just wanted the
Could
traffic.
you give us your name for the
Oh,
record?
Mary Hars.
Mary Horse? Okay, Mary.
I live in District 2.
Uh-huh.
I just want to review the traffic pattern for this.
Okay, this is not a zoning hearing, so we wouldn't have traffic comments in this. All it is just changing a land use, not a zoning. If it was a zoning case, we would have people from traffic, from DOT. But since this is not a rezoning, it's just updating our land use plan for 2019, we wouldn't have anyone from DOT to give you a
But I
traffic
can
pattern.
say,
But we can have someone from staff, Philip down here, can check on it for you
Okay.
and get it by the Board of Commissioners meeting, when this will be heard again.
Okay.
Get your name and address, and then we can let you know. Okay, so back to you.
yeah, and I will say that we had gotten some comments from the community about the concern over additional traffic on Old Town Parkway that would be caused by not only this residential, but if, I think the thoughts that were expressed in what I saw are that this could lead to further high-density residential in that area, which would be
Increase the traffic.
allowable in the,
High-density.
is that allowable in the CAC?
No,
No
not high
residential?
density. Not high density.
Only up to 5 units, but so a lot of the existing stuff is allowable. So it would be related to possible redevelopment of the existing residential. No one can tell how likely that is. But I don't think that there's and I guess would be a traffic question. I don't think that there would be a significant increase in traffic on Old Town Parkway due to this residential versus the office use that
No,
that
it's
it
less
was
traffic.
Right.
It's less.
previously. So I think that's something that we've got to consider.
Okay, so you have a motion?
If I remember right from the case, it was less traffic
It was the DOT.
projected with this high-density residential than the traffic that would be generated by the office use and what it was already zoned for. If that
So
helps
hopefully
you
that
in your
helps.
question.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve ZD 17.
Okay, have a motion, we have a second. McGaugh, question. That's approved 4-0.
All right, our next case is ZD 20. It's based on case Z25 in May of 2018. Proposed change is from low-density residential to medium-density residential for the purpose of a single-family home located in District 2 on the north side of Lee Road, east of Pine Ridge Road.
Was anyone from the audience that wished to speak? Okay, back to this board.
Yeah, I pulled this because the reason, the change of the future land use plan to medium density residential would just put a little spot inside a broader area of low density residential. And I thought we should leave that as it is.
Can you make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion that we deny ZD 20.
Second. Call the question. It's approved for denial 4-0.
All right. That was the last zoning decision case that needed to be heard. So now we will move on to the commissioner proposal items. We have a total of 4 items for consideration, 1 each in District 2 and 3, and then 2 items in District 4. The first item is CP 2-1, which is a proposed change from Community Activity Center, High Density Residential, and Parks, Recreation, and Conservation to Regional Activity Center with the subcategories of High Density Residential, Retail Services, and Open Space and Recreation. The general location of the site is the west side of Powers Ferry Road, south of Delk Road, and north and south of Terrell Mill Road.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on CP 2-1? We have one, so we'll pull that. We already knew. And we already knew when we talked. It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna read them all. We're gonna read them all, and then we'll call it out again.
All right. The next item, are we ready for the next item, Madam
Yes,
Chair?
uh-huh.
Okay. The next item is CP 3-1. Proposed changes from medium density residential to low density residential. The site is located on the east side of Piedmont Road, south of the intersection of Cajun Drive.
Okay, and we're gonna pull that because I see Richard out there, so.
Our next item is CP 4-1. Proposed changes from Community Activity Center to Neighborhood Activity Center. The site consists of multiple parcels located on the northwest side of Powder Springs Road, south of the intersection with Pine Grove Road, and north of the city limits of Powder Springs.
Any opposition to this one? All right, that will come off. CP-1, okay.
And the last item is CP 4-2. The proposed change is from Neighborhood Activity Center and Medium Density Residential to Neighborhood Activity Center in its entirety. The site is located north of Veterans Memorial Highway and west of Buckner Road.
Anyone in the audience wishing to speak? No? The board? Good? Okay, good. So that's the last one?
Yes, that is the last commissioner proposal item.
So we have ZB 2-1, 3-1, and 4-1.
You want me to make a motion on 4-2 before we move on?
Yes, please.
Make a motion that we recommend approval of CP 4-2 as presented.
Fred, second. All those in favor? And that was approved 4-0. Okay, so we're back to CP 2-1. Anyone wishing to speak on CP 2-1, please come forward.
How are you?
Good.
My neighbor spoke on, she thought she was speaking on this particular one.
Could you
the
give
young
us your
lady,
name first?
Davids, Dan Davids.
Dan.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I apologize. She thought she was speaking on this particular one.
Okay.
When she came up earlier. And our concern primarily is this. We've lived in that particular community for an extended period of time. We watched the development, watched the transition. We know that change is inevitable. When you see the proposal to change it extremely high density, meaning like possibly Cumberland, Town Center, et cetera, we sort of asked the question, where do we fit in? And we're prayerful that our 30, 40, 20 years have not been in vain. We'd like to continue to live in that particular area. When we see residential, we're hopeful. That means that there's a chance that we'll stay there. And that's our concern. So if at some point there's some clarification as to whether we will have an opportunity to remain in our single-family homes in that area, we'll be happy. No squabble. Do the changes, but because it's got to happen. She mentioned that we were concerned about the number of apartments, and I echo those sentiments. But those are our concerns.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you for your time.
Yes. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, it's back to this board. Is that just, have one more?
Hi, Nick Johnson. Kind of new to this stuff, so What is the purpose of changing the name from Community Activity Center and all the others to regional with all the subcategories? Is the reason for that how does it affect taxes? What is your future land use? What do you plan on doing with that area? Plan tearing down homes, building something else?
This is in District 2.
Sure. I don't
Andy,
think, I don't think that the change really means that there is a plan. The change means that there's a vision that that area, and Jason may be better able to address this, but there's a vision that in that area that it's going to be developed in a denser, more intense way than the single-family residential, which isn't, not that it's not allowed, it's not a category that's consistent with the RAC, but other residential uses are, townhomes and that sort of thing. So I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but what it does allow to happen is a more unified development of that area instead of a developer having to, or a project.
The reason I ask is because there's a lot of apartments in the area, but then there's a small section of townhomes and homes, single-family homes that have been there since probably the 50s. So just trying to make sure that they're not going to be kicked out for something else that's going to be.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't mean that anybody's going to get kicked out. It's that your home no longer belongs there. That's not what it is. It's just clearing a path for, it's really more of a
Just a cleanup,
suggestion
yeah.
of.
It's reflecting what it's currently zoned. It's not changing your zoning at all.
It's really a vision for the future that may occur over 10, 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years. So, when the properties as they're developed no longer are financially viable, in other words, the houses are getting so old that you're going to tear them down, it kind of talks about the point of what may be developed there in the future and what kind of density and intensity that kind of development will have. But in no way, shape, or form does this mean anybody's got to move out of their house. It doesn't kick them out.
Taxes don't go
You
up.
still own your property and you have property rights and the same with all your neighbors. It's just in the future, at some point when things are ripe for redevelopment, it speaks to the kind of development that will probably go there.
Okay.
It's a
And that's what it
vision.
is. It's
It
a
really
vision
is
for
just
the
a
future.
vision.
That helps clarify. Thank you.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. All right, that's okay. Come on.
Again, my name's Kimberly Strickland. I heard Terrell Mill and Powers Ferry,
Okay,
and I'm still waiting for that Kroger.
okay.
I want it to come in. So whenever I got my letter, I have an arrow pointing to a plot of land across Terrell Mill from me off of Bentley. Is that the only proposed area? Because that's where my confusion is. Or is it the whole area?
It's
Because
the whole area that's changed color from one map to another.
Look at the
Okay.
top and look at the bottom. It's that
so
whole
I am
line.
in the change of color area.
Yes.
So you're mainly talking, I guess I did not read it correctly as activity center. I thought, it was going to be a basketball court and football, and some tennis, hopefully. But you're mainly just wanting to better our area. Hopefully not tear down our homes we've lived
Oh,
in.
yeah, no,
But make it better, get in some better restaurants.
Yes.
Get rid of maybe some of the indigent homes, the Section 8, those type of environments.
Yeah, I think you see anytime we have something like this where you put it in proposed in it means that we have a vision, probably would be the appropriate word, a vision for how it might come, like Galt said, in 20 or 30 years down the road.
Well, I've just put in a new Trex deck. I want to keep it for a few years.
All right, you can do that. I think you'll be fine.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for the confusion earlier.
That's fine.
But I do want my Kroger.
All right. We'll see what we
That's
can
why
do.
I got rid of my good Mexican
I
restaurant.
think it's coming.
I think it's coming. I think it's coming. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, we did have one other person who wanted to speak. They informed me of that, but I thought this might be a good time to just kind of chime in and talk a little bit about the difference in activity centers. Earlier, I talked about what the regional activity center is in terms of, being the highest intensity commercial use and combination of uses, primarily anchored by retail commercial. But I think we've kind of glossed over what the lower intensity activity centers consist of.
Okay.
So with that, I'll talk a little bit about the neighborhood activity center. That is your lowest intensity level. That is pretty much areas that have small retail and service-oriented uses that are designed to serve residential areas in the immediate vicinity. So a short drive, a bike ride or a walk if the infrastructure to do so safely is in place. Those are the types of areas that would be accessed that would be accessed by nearby residential areas. So neighborhood activity center is your smallest, least intense activity center level. Commercial or community activity center is a bit larger. You've got pretty much the biggest difference between that and the neighborhood activity center is intended to draw people from a wider area. So while you may have a grocery store in a neighborhood activity center, it's more likely that with the footprint of today's grocery stores, them being, upwards of 50,000 square feet, they're drawn from a wider area because that's the supermarket, and the supermarket is intended to draw people from a wider trade area, so to speak. So your community activity center draws from a wider range of communities within a certain radius or vicinity. And then, like I talked about before, regional activity centers, your highest intensity usage, drawing people from a more regional scale, people from possibly outside the county even. Interstate access is a key component of that. And, that's probably the simplest way I can define those three categories. And I also wanted to say that particularly with this item, CP21, yes, we've got, apartments and medium density residential, condos, townhomes, those types of things within this area. But the one thing about it is within the regional activity center, there are subcategories that more, I guess, closely define what the intended use is. And if we notice, the proposed subcategories for this item are high-density residential, retail services, and open space recreation. So any area that's currently open space, or shown, like for instance, as PRC on a future land use map, would go to RAC with the OSR subcategory. The apartment complexes will go to RAC with the HDR subcategory. The condos, townhomes, medium density residential type uses would go to, as of now, they would go to the high density category, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of the allowable zoning and the allowable use as you previously stated.
Thank you, Jason, for clearing that up. Sometimes we take it for granted up here because we hear it all the time. We sometimes forget that the audience might not know the terminology like we do, and sometimes we don't even know it, so there you go.
So we got Jason.
That's why we got Jason to explain everything to us. Okay, so do we need to make a motion?
We did have one other
Oh, we
person
have
who
one
wanted
other
to comment.
speaker, Okay, let's get her.
Basically,
Okay,
this
let's hear her
area
first.
is now CAC. Go to the rack.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
evening. My name is Sueli Brito, and I'm living in the area on CP 2-1.
Uh-huh.
And I am in the middle of renovation, my place. And when I got this letter, so I heard say stop because they're going to tear down everything. So I heard you answer the gentleman that you want turn down. You're going to improve, so which is good. That area needed. So I'm happy for it. So what should I do? Continue?
You're fine, just enjoy your renovation, and, yeah, nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna be torn down, your house is not gonna be torn down, nothing,
So my house will be,
you'll be fine.
all right. So it's just the proposal is not for us to get out.
No,
but
no,
to
no, no, no.
improve the area
No,
around.
this is just a vision that they see that might come 20, 30 years down the road.
Yeah. Actually, I was happy if propose to me, for me to, because I was planning to renew my place to sell.
Okay,
But, so thank you.
you're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, so have we made a motion on this one?
No, but I want to bring Jason up for one thing, because Fred had some else.
Okay, Fred needs to talk too.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have one question for the distinguished Planning Division Manager, and that would be, are you aware of any studies that have been done at all on the impact on the managed lanes and the exit ramps there? What impact there could be by greatly increasing density of traffic on Terrell Mill Road?
I'm not aware of any such studies, sir.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And can I just make a statement at this time, please, Madam Chair?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. My concerns and reasons for recommendation of denial are threefold. First, the definition of the RAC per RAC P3 in Appendix 4 to the comprehensive plan states that regional activity centers shall be located in close proximity to the intersection of two freeways. That is not the case with this property at this time. I believe that definition is as it should be. Second, the pay lanes on I-75, we have a situation where the Marietta Daily Journal's reported on December 21 that this $834 million investment has yielded roughly 500,000 users per month. So these would be dads and coach and soccer moms and parents rushing to get their kids at the end of the day, rushing out to Northwest Cobb, to Northeast Cobb. I think we need to carefully consider and protect them from encouraging redevelopment that could gum up these lanes and kill the benefit of an $834 million investment. So my primary concern is the exit ramp on Terrell Mill and moving traffic off of Terrell Mill and what impact redevelopment could have there in terms of defining this as a good long-term goal. I note that transportation goal number 1 is to maximize the performance of the transportation system. Transportation goal number 2 is to manage traffic congestion. I also note that the Powers Ferry Master Plan in Appendix 6, page 56, as presently constituted, does not seem to support the proposed change. I've previously addressed each of these concerns to the International Aviator and Charismatic Commissioner from District 2 in East Cobb, and I've expressed them to the Distinguished Planning Commissioner from District 2 as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Comment section.
Thank you for bringing up the master plan.
It's back to this board.
Jason, just a couple of questions. You had spoken briefly about the subcategories. So if we're looking at the existing zoning or future land use plan in our books or on the screen, the categories that are in brown that show to be high-density residential would be in the subcategory residential.
The subcategory of high-density
High-density residential within the
Correct.
RAC.
Yes.
And then the categories that are shown as CAC, or the plots would be in which category?
Retail services, RS.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
didn't mention that when I was giving my description.
Right, and then the
Sorry.
green would be the recreational.
Yes, OSR, yes.
In the existing CAC, there is no subcategory for,
Right, of the activity center classifications, only the regional activity center has subcategories.
so in order to put this all in one future land use and designate certain portions of this area for the type of development that's existing now and anticipated in the future, we would have to go to the RIC category.
That would make sense, yes, sir.
And I understand all that you said, and I echo many of your points for consideration. But I think in terms of our vision for the future development of this area, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this CP 2.1.
Have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by call the question. That's approved 3-1.
Okay. Our next CP item is CP 3-1. Proposed changes from medium density residential to low density residential, located on the east side of Piedmont Road, south of Cajun Drive.
Come on up, Richard. Dang, you grew a beard, did
Yeah, looking a little scruggly, my wife says. I just wanted to come here tonight.
State your name for the record.
For the record, my name is Richard Duncan. I just wanted to go on record tonight that I opposed the redistricting of the piece of property I bought back in 2017 for the intentions of a residential subdivision, and I bought this with the intent, knowing it was in medium density, and it is surrounded by medium density. And as Porter said earlier, you know, these are vision. Was a vision back, I guess, 30-something years ago. I think in late 80s is when this was laid out because of Town Center Mall, and it was envisioned that this would be it. And you have seen there is medium density on that road already. There's several RA5s on that right there near me within a 1/10 of a mile, and I just wanted to come in tonight and state that I do oppose redistricting the piece of property because it does adversely affect my piece of property, and I want to come here tonight and on record to state that.
Thank you, Richard.
I'm asking for your approval.
Do what?
You're asking for our denial.
I think he was asking for.
I mean, your denial.
Richard, you said.
My approval.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, it's back.
I'm not used to this one myself.
I was gonna say, Richard, you always want our approval. It's back to this board and it's in my district. And the reason I had I'm gonna recommend denial on it is because it was, the property, when you go out there, the property's developed as R20 or R15. It's single-family, well-kept homes. They're on large lots. None of us know why it got into the medium classification. It seems like it has been there for 30 or 40 years, and we don't know why, but it hadn't developed out as a medium. So I would make the motion that we approve this CP 3-1.
I'm sorry, was his request that it be denied?
Let's
or
do
approved?
He
a
wants
second
denied.
for discussion so that we
Yeah.
stay in order.
So we have a motion and a second, and now we'll have discussion. You want to have it?
No,
You seconding for discussion? Well, you
No.
can go with your discussion.
no, I don't have any. I'm just,
Yeah.
but I just want to make sure I understand your.
We're denying it,
Okay.
yeah.
You're denying or approving? I
We're
thought you said-
approving it he wanted us to deny it, Richard wanted us to deny it, but we're approving it.
Your motion is to
So the
approve?
motion's to approve.
Yeah. So my
And,
motion is to approve, our second is
And,
approve.
and I would say this whole area needs to be looked at.
Yeah,
Most of it's developed LDR or less.
or even less, and it does need to be
and-
looked at all the way up
and
to
I-
the intersection.
I really think we should be looking at the whole thing, not, and maybe that's something we can even do mid-year or something, but for me, the more I think about it, I hate to act just on this one piece. I think we should be acting on the whole thing versus just picking one piece out of it. I think it belongs LDR probably. Richard may not like that,
I don't think Richard
but
likes
I think we should be acting on this whole block that we see on the screen for the most part, other than the RA4, which there's some more up there, I believe.
I would support it because it is the one that was presented to us. The people who we had talked to asked that it be brought in, and Richard, of course, owns the property, but he wants us to turn it down, but I would recommend approval. And I do think that we should look at it all the way up to Bells Ferry and Piedmont. So, but my motion is to approve it. And you second it, right? Okay, call the question. It's a 2-2. No, I think we send it on without a recommendation.
You can either hold, continue, or send it on without a recommendation, but you will, as Mr. Porter said, you will need a motion as to which action you want to take.
It's going to be a 2-2. So we just send it on without a recommendation? Yeah. I'll make a motion, we send it on without a recommendation. Call the question. Send it without a recommendation is approved 4-0. So the next one is CP 41.
Yes, ma'am. CP 41 is a proposed change from Community Activity Center to Neighborhood Activity Center, consisting of multiple parcels located on the northwest side of Powder Springs Road, south of this intersection with Pine Grove Road, and north of the Powder Springs city limits.
Anyone from the audience wishing to speak?
Hello, my name is Michael Picard. I live in the proposed area. I appreciate you answering some questions in between some of these, so I don't have as many questions, or kind of how this works. It seems like this is switching from something that's busier to a little bit less busy. I guess a couple of questions from, especially listening to Richard as well. Does that affect, there are a couple of parcels of land that are undeveloped. If somebody does purchase those, do they have to be residential only now, or could they also be commercial?
Well, I think the simplest answer, and Galt probably could answer it just as well as me, but the simplest, anybody can apply for rezoning.
Okay.
They're both going to be in what we call an activity center of some type. We're proposing going from the community activity center, which is bigger, to the neighborhood activity center. Actually, the neighborhood activity center doesn't have any residential uses. The community activity does allow some, but in general, all these lots along here are so small, you could never develop anything that would be in a community activity center in them.
Okay.
So the lot sizes and what's here in they don't have a lot of depth, to do a big box store or anything. You couldn't do the Walmart that's up at the corner here.
Right.
And that's really why we identified it as kind of makes no sense, because you can't put those heavier intense uses here. Also, the city of Powder Springs did come to us and say, hey, we'd like to see less intensity along there as well.
Okay, and that's kind of what we were hoping for, because we've had
Right.
issues and things, so it sounded like this was actually one that went a good direction and everything too, so.
Yeah.
And your comment earlier about do taxes go up, that's something that we were all talking about too, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
If yours go up, mine go up too, so.
Okay.
So it's back to this board.
Got that. I'll make a recommendation that we approve CP 4-1.
We have a second by Andy. Call the question. That's approved 4-0. And that's the last one of those.
All right, we are now finished with the commissioner proposals, and we'll move on to our final category, the staff proposals. The first item is SP1, items A through G. This is an action to change the future land use designation of properties recently purchased by the county for the parks bond issue, from whatever they are currently to the Parks, Recreation, Conservation category. It's sub items A through G, so that's 7 items for consideration, 7 properties.
Okay. It's back to this book. Was anyone in the audience opposed to the recreation use? Okay, Roberta? Okay, we go back. Roberta, which one are you opposed to?
It's not that simple.
Let's do them one at a time so we can figure out.
Oh, okay. No, you could do a group as far as I'm concerned, the whole group.
You want to talk on the whole group? Oh, okay. All right, we can do it that way too. Jason, just let Roberta come on up, and since she wants to speak on all of them.
Okay. So do you want to go through the entire thing in the same format that we've done previously, or do you want to go ahead and pull this and talk about it now?
Yeah, I think we can just go ahead and, because she's the only one that wants to talk, I think we can just go ahead and pull the, we can do that legally.
And it's just, we had previously done each section, read each of them to see which one to pull. But however, if you want to pull, there's only four
Four, and she wants
here,
to speak
so-
on all four, so.
I think she was.
She wants to speak on the 7 sub-items, the A through G under SP1.
Okay. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Justin, go ahead and finish up, and then Roberta can talk after we finish up. Sorry, Roberta. And then we'll go back.
All right, item SP2, also countywide, is to add completed studies to the supplemental study section of the comprehensive plan, namely, in this instance, the Cobb Parks Master Plan, which was completed this past spring.
Anyone wishing to speak on this? Seeing none?
Item SP3 is in Commission Districts 2 and 4. It's to add approved design guideline areas to the comprehensive plan.
Anyone wanting to speak on this? Seeing none?
Okay. Item SP4 is countywide. It is to update the properties listed on the county's redevelopment inventory.
Oh, okay. Anyone wish to speak on this? Seeing none? Thank you. Okay, now we're going.
You want me to make a motion on?
You gonna make a
on the
motion on the
three?
others? Scott's gonna
Okay.
make a motion on the other ones, except for the ones that Roberta's gonna talk on.
I make a motion that we recommend approval of CP, or SP dot dash 2, SP dash 3, and SP dash 4 as
Second.
presented.
Have a second by Ann, call the question? Those are approved 4-0. All right, now, Roberta, you can come up.
Good evening. My name is Roberta Cook, and I'm not really here in opposition, more out of concern is probably the right word. And I do have to say, as an introduction, I've been involved with the Parks Bond both in 2006 and 2008. I'm one of the leaders in the Cobb Parks Coalition group that has promoted both of the Parks Bonds, which were very successful and voted on by about 65% of the voters approved those park bonds. And the reason that they were done and so successful, it gave us a way of preserving green space in Cobb County. So they were meant to be passive parks. And the concern that I have this evening is the category, which is parks, recreation, and conservation. And those terms are not really interchangeable. Conservation is a big difference from recreation, and in some cases, parks, because the majority of our parks, as I'm very involved with parks as well, is their recreational facilities, soccer, baseball, basketball. Well, the park bond properties are just the opposite. So I'm wondering how, if we're going to pool them all together, how did we distinguish one from another? Our parks bond properties are, many of them are very large, 50 acres, 30 acres, and we're talking about future land use. So what's to really stop someone years from now pointing at one of those properties and deciding that's the next Braves stadium, you know, nice big 50 acres, nothing on it, you know, but trees. And so I guess I'd like to make a suggestion that we make conservation have its own code and let the parks bond properties have that conservation code so that people in the future will know why we saved that land in perpetuity. And We've saved over 300 acres with the 2008 Parks Bond and about 300 acres, I think, with the 2006. So that's a lot of property that, trees should prevail there. So I don't know how to go about making the suggestion. I didn't know what kind of format we had this evening, so I was really planning to educate myself as opposed to speak. So I guess since I had this opportunity, I did want to bring it to your attention and see if we could come up with an idea of how to separate those out if we could.
Okay, thank you, Roberta. Certainly, I think you have some good points, and you might get with Jason and them. There was some debate, if it would make you feel any better, it was some debate about how we broke it out, and this was last year, I think. But Jason probably can explain it better than I can, but it's my understanding, and the county attorney can explain it too. These are perpetual, they can't ever be, they're put in a perpetual, is that not correct? Where they can't be developed out?
I am not familiar but I would assume since we're using Parks Bonds money that we are substantially limited in the uses that we can put it to. But I am not aware of the exact language and that's in there. So, but since we're using the bond money, that limits what we can do.
When can it be developed out?
In perpetuity with
Jason,
it.
you probably could explain it a little bit better, how we came up, why we didn't divide out conservation versus.
Well, I'm pretty much in the same boat as Debbie when it comes to knowing the specific terms as to how the properties were purchased and what can be done there and what can't be. But I will say at the Parks, Recreation, Conservation, future land use classification it's not meant to necessarily be all of the above. It's meant to be either or, and like all future land use designations. I don't think there's any one use that entirely fits in a future land use designation. On the surface, it might seem like that's the case, but you can find little things about each individual development and look at where it's at on the future land use map and say, oh, okay, well, it fits. But then if you look closer at the details, you'll realize that there's little things about it that might not necessarily align perfectly. So it's meant to be a generality in that sense. It's a policy guide. The comprehensive plan itself and everything contained within is a policy guide. And I noticed one thing that Roberta said was the word code. And code suggests, codification or an ordinance. And, that's the comprehensive plan and the future land use plan are the complete opposite or antithesis of a code or an ordinance. It's just a policy guideline, it's just a recommendation. And I think that, and Ms. Blair would probably agree that, the specific language in the legal paperwork, if you will, as to the Parks Bond and how properties purchased with those funds are to be used would prevail in terms of determining what the actual uses would be. So, if the desire is for them to be, passive recreational areas and not active, then, more than likely that language is included in the legal paperwork I mentioned.
All right, thank you, Jason. Roberta, you've been an activist for a long time, so, get with long-range planning and work with them to see if y'all can come up with something. At this time, this is what we have, and we've got to put it in this classification so that we know which is the recreation area. So it's back to this board, and we need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of SP1 A through G as presented.
We have a motion, have a second. Fred, call the question. And those are approved 4-0. Okay.
That concludes the list of items that we have for your
Are we
consideration this
finished?
evening. We are finished.
Thank you, Jason. I want to say thank you to you and your staff for putting this together. You did a great job. We appreciate it every year how much work you do put into this. And then we appreciate, Philip, all of y'all having to, and Mandy, having to answer all of our questions too. So we really do appreciate it. Thank you, Debbie, for keeping us on the right way here. And for the clerks. Oh, and Corky. How could I forget Corky for doing the TV tonight? So thank you, everyone. Have a happy new year. And Brendan, you over there in the back.